Hello, welcome to my channel. If this is the first time I come across my video, you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always tuning in. In this video today, we're going to learn how to make this maxi dress, and in this channel, we teach how to make dress and DIYs. If this is something you're interested to learn, you want to learn how we made this, keep watching. Now let's dive into the tutorial proper. I used 2 meters of fabric for this, 3 meters of fabric, sorry. And you'll be needing your rulers. I've actually drafted out the pattern. This is a half scale blocks. If you don't know how to make this, the video of how to draft your basic bodies will be linked in the description box below, and we also have a video on how to take accurate measurement, because for this upper part of this dress you need your accurate measurement for it. Okay, so now let's get into the tutorial proper. As you can see, my pattern has been made, so I'm just going to get you through it. That's my chest line, my shoulder to my nipple point. From my shoulder to my nipple point, I use SN. That's what I use for it. That's the under bust. UB, shoulder to under the bust, where your bra sits. Then that's the waistline. And in this pattern, I have extra like 4-5 inch, which we'll be using later. And this upper part is my chest line. So I'll label it CL. So now we're going to go into the alteration proper. So we're going to come from the baseline, that's the neckline, to you can do 8, 7, 9. But to get it right, just a guide, actually, depending on how revealing you want it. You go from your underbust, your nipple point to your underbust. Whatever you got there, you move it up. So that will help move it up a little. If you check from up to that place, you'll see that we have 7.07. Okay, so your measurement, like I always say in my video, may be different from my own, okay, because we don't have the same body size. So I'm just going to spread that number across like so, and that will be my new chest line. So I'm just going to mark as same. So that's our new chest line. So now from that point, I'm going to go in by 0.5. And I also love to point out that this differs from people. I have a fuller chest, so the space in between mine is small. But if you have a smaller chest, the space will be wider. For this, you need a curve ruler. You're going to curve it like so, making sure that it touches the underbust line. It has to touch the underbust line. You have to make sure that it touched you on the bust line. Like I was saying, for the chest, I mean bust when I mean chest, my bust is fuller, so 0.5 works for me. If you have a smaller bust, you might do 0.7 because the space will be much. Okay, so from the neckline, I am going to do an alteration from there. The basic neckline is 3, which we know 3 by 3. So I'm just going to go in again. Instead of 3, I'm doing 3.5 now. So that's the alteration I'm doing there. Then from that point, I'm going to do 2 inch. You can do 1.5, 2 inch. So now I'm going to show it to you because the camera did not capture it before. You see the basic neckline before was 3. But now I did 3.5, and I connected it back to that new chest line we have there. So now I'm going to do 2, and I'm going to connect from there to stop at the new chest line, as you can see now, just like that. So that's what we have. Now I am going to take the curve ruler again, and from there I'm going to make sure it ends on that leg as seen, like so. You just once it touches the underbust, you just connect back like so. Okay, it's easy. We're almost done for this part. So now what I'm going to do is my full length is 17. I want to give it a box effect. You can skip this part, is optional. My full length is 17, but what I have, if you're looking at it, what I have is 18. That's because I added my sewing allowance and all that to it. So now I'm just going to mark in 3 inches downwards. So I went down by 3, you can do 3.5. I went down by 3. You know, I already have 3.5 because I have extra 1 inch sewing allowance to the waistline. Okay, so if that makes sense. So now I'm just going to go in by 2 inches. That's because I don't have my curve ruler is not available. I took it somewhere to teach somebody and I left it there. So now I'm just going to connect like so. It's not supposed to be having that, So I'm just going to make sure I blend it so it moves smoothly, like it doesn't have that V kind of shape. So now I have done that and our pattern is almost ready. So what we need to do is to close the bust dart. If you don't know how to take body measurement, what a bust dart is, a waist dart is, you need an explanation, just let me know. I will get back to you. Okay, I will explain better. That's the waist dart and that is the bust dart. If you watch our video that will be linked in the description box on how to take accurate body measurement, I think I covered that part also. I explained this part of what a bust dart is, the difference between your back and your front. You just get all that. So now I'm just going to connect. As I close it, you see the line was not equal anymore. I'm just going to make sure I blend it off, everything aligns properly so that when we transfer the pattern to the fabric, we will not have anything missing. So that place I'm just going to close it. And I would love to point out that I've actually added my sewing allowance to this pattern. Okay, so if you, after marking and everything, make sure you add your sewing allowance to your pattern. Okay, so here I am just making sure I cut off all the excess. So just cut off. And this 0.5 we added, let me point it out. If this is your first time, it's almost like making a corset. If this is your first time, it does not affect your fabric whatsoever. It's included in your fabric. Okay, that's 0.5 there. It's not going to affect your fabric. It's just the way it's made. So here we have it for the front. So this is what we have. If you gotten this far, you can choose not to sew in your dart. You can choose to close your dart. If you want to close your dart before you place it in the fabric, this is what you're going to do. But before you do that, you're going to, you see that the way I cut it is missed. Some fabric will be short. So for you to do that, you have to cover it. You have to use paper to fill it up and cover it. Then you close your dart. Then you can cut out without using a dart. And you can also choose to use boning, which I didn't use. So now for the back. So for the back, for the upper part, I'm just going to add an extra paper because I need to lift it up a little. So that's my zipper allowance. I won't be needing it for this place. So I'm going to close it in like so, which I will cut out later. So that we'll know where we're working on. It's just easy. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take this upper part, this my 2-inch neckline, I'm going to place it. I went in by 0. I went in by 0.5 from the basic neckline. Okay, I didn't use that point. I used the second one. I'll just mark up and I'm going to mark a straight line. I'll just slant it back. You see what I did? It was not a straight line. I didn't use the first one, so I went in by 0.5 actually. So ignore the first one. So I'll just mark out. But you can leave it like that. Maybe if you want the sewing allowance, I'll just mark up. Then this place is what I'll be using. So in between the edges, you have 2 inch. This is the side, that is the edge. Okay, I'm going to indicate with a marker pen now. So you know that will be the place you're going to add to with a sellotape to the edge of the other one. Okay, so that's what we have here, and I'm just going to cut out. The back is easy, not no much alteration needed for it. So this is it. This is what we have. Just trim off. And the point where I marked is going to go in like this. So when you put it and you see like my case is not equal, I just have to just make them align properly. It's not supposed to be so, but so I'll just seal it and align them properly. Just little like 0.1 more wider. So I'll just make sure everything aligns. And this other part, I'll just blend it off to give me that curve that I will need around the neckline. Okay, that's the center front. So that's it. So now that we're done with that, we're just going to work on the back, the other part of the back. You see, I'm going to show you, because I've closed the bust dart, you will see that my measurements are accurate. You have to cross check. That's the benefit of using a pattern. A pattern helps you go through your work again and see if there is error, if you need a correction and all that. You can see that it aligns. So because I've eliminated the bulge that was supposed to, which the bust causes actually in front. That's why your front measurement and the back measurement are never the same. Okay, for some persons though. So now I just have to cut because my work is almost complete. So here I'm trimming off the back pattern, and I want to point out that if I'm going to do you can choose to slant it, make it go deeper. You can see the way it looked when the video started. Now I'm going to do my back contouring. I'm going to 0.2, 0.2. Okay, so that means I did 0.5 contouring. I divided it into two. I spread it across. So I will just do on the left, on the right, and I'll connect it back. So this will grip my back, upper back, better and firmer. So that's what we have. You can choose to sew in like I sewed in. I did not cut out. You can choose to sew in. You can choose to cut out. But if you have to cut out, that's the zipper allowance. If you have to cut out, make sure you notch. Okay, because when you cut out, it might be confusing. Make sure you notch. Use different types of notch to indicate the upper part and the lower part. That's how I do my own. I don't know about other persons. So I use straight notch. Then when I'm done with the straight notch for the zipper side and all that, then I will indicate with, there's this type of notch that you just cut like a V, that's how I will put it. That will give me a sign that that place is the upper part. That's how I do my own notch. Everybody have different ways. Just in a way that you know where it's going to wear. That's just the point. So now for this one, this is the bust dart side. I'm just going to seal it, then we'll do a slash and spread method. So now we're going to mark a straight line from the dart leg upward towards the end of the front panel pattern. We sealed it to the back neckline. So we're just going to cut it out like so and remove the darts like so. Then you just split the rest open and we spread. So how much you spread is up to you, okay? Depend on how much gathers you want around it. But for this tutorial, I did 4, which I'll show you later. So I'm just going to place it in the fabric and cut, and you add all your necessary allowance. If you're cutting this round part, you're going to put your allowance, you're going to put the allowance for the front, and the center front of the front is going to be cut by fold. So this is the down part of the dress. I used 2 yards of fabric for the down part of the dress. Okay, then the half was what I used to cut the upper bodice. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. We're going to run a gather stitch on it and draw. So this is the back panel. You can see I have added some allowance. I added allowance towards the upper part. The down part I didn't add allowance. That's because the allowance has been added when I was drafting the pattern. Okay, that's the side allowance, and I added extra allowance for the side. That's because I want to sew in my dart. That's for the dart. Okay, if I had cut the dart, I will add by the side of the dart when I'm cutting. Then the center front is folded, is cut on fold. It's the only one that is cut on fold together, like it's not separated, please. So that's the allowance by the side of it. You can see the down part, I didn't add allowance because I did not need it. I'm just trying to show you. I only added on the upper part, a little on that side, just to make up for in case I'm sewing, I'm taking more than it does happen. So this is that leg, the slash and spread that I used. I added 4 inch, which I will show you. And sorry, my camera turned. So it is 4 inch spread that I did, and that is it. So you're either going to pleat it. So you're going to notch the edge of each that leg you moved, which I did. You notch the side, the two sides. You can give it a different type of notch where your yoke started from and the armhole side. You give it a different, you can use straight notch and a slant notch so that you know which is which, because that's where your stitch is going to stop, so that you don't take more than you should. Okay, and you can see this sewing allowance I added around it. I said you can choose to do a pleat like so, like you see me do, or you can do a gather, which you will start from one end of the notch to the other end of the notch, and you will drag it. That means you're closing in the gathers. Okay, which is that pattern was what I used, but I'm just trying to show you that you can do it in a different way. You can do a pleat. There are different ways to do it. You can just pleat it like so, match it. Okay, and you still have your curve. All right. So if you find this video helpful, do make sure to like, share, and drop a comment. Comment really does help the algorithm push our video. That's the best you can do for a content creator. Okay, so I'm just going to take it to the machine and couple it, and we're going to come back to see it. So here I have sewn in, I've cut out my lining, which you saw. So I've sewn that in. I would love to say that this is not the best sewing method for me. It didn't work well for me, but I did well with it anyways. So you see here, this I'm just trying to show you. You have to notch here, because if you place that, if you're sewing that, that's where you're going to stop. Okay, so you make sure you notch this part, and the other middle point again where the yoke started, that 0.5 we went in, where it started from, you're going to notch it as well. Because if you don't notch it, you might sew above it, which you don't want. It won't come out well. It's almost like a corset. If you have sewn a corset before, you should know what I'm talking about. But if you have not, if you're a beginner, and this is not that much of a beginner friendly tutorial, but if you're a beginner, you can still find your way around. It's good to make mistake and get better than not trying at all. So now that's the first edge, the side that is going to the shoulder side. Okay, that's the armhole side, sorry. I have a notch of it. Then the other part is the middle point. I have a notch of it. So you're going to leave 0.5 actually to start sewing. You're going to leave 0.5 before you start sewing. The added allowance you did, actually, you're going to leave it. You're not going to end at the added allowance, because that allowance you need for stitching. Okay, so you're just going to sew, and you clip the other edge to it, then you sew. If there's an excess in between sewing the middle point, you can fuse it in. Okay, So I have done for the left, the other side of the dress. So this is just me trying to show it to you. Like this method didn't really work well for me. I thought I would, but it came out nice actually. But it wasn't fun. So if I were to try this again, I'm going to use a different method. Okay. So just secure it with your pin. See me showing you what I've done. Actually, I have sewn this when I realized I have to lose here. I didn't end it where I supposed to. So I had to go back to my pattern, but I have shown you that I have to go back to my pattern and place it and find out where the error was, and I corrected it. On my process of sewing it, this is what happened. My process of losing it, that cut off almost like 1 inch. So I actually thought this dress was not, maybe when I'm done with the tutorial, I may not wear it, but it came out nice. Like, and I thank God it's not a client's fabric. You see that? That's like 1 inch that got torn. Because this fabric, I've had it for long, it's in the bag for long. So me, it's not strong anymore. It just is fragile, like, So this is when I'm done sewing it. This is what I have. So now we're going to use the lining. Like I was saying, this is the wrong pattern, the wrong method I used to sew this. Next time, I may not try this for next time. What I'm going to do for next time, I'm going to couple the upper body, that's the main fabric, separately, then the lining separately. Then I will now sew and merge it round. I think that will work better. I will try that pattern again next time. Though I have done corsets many times like this, I came out well, but I don't know what happened on this particular one. I struggled with it actually. Like, it is because I have had a long experience of sewing that I was able to pull it up. So, and that one that got tore out from there, so I couldn't manage the middle point. So it was looking like it was squeezed, but also there was no light when I was sewing. But when I was on ironing, it came out nice. I'm just saying, I have to be honest. Okay, so let's take to the machine and sew around. I will show you how to do about the side, the shoulder, armhole side of it. Okay, when you're done sewing around, I will bring it back to show us. So you see that part, we're supposed to sew with 0.5, or you use needle. Actually, if you can't use machine, you can use hand to tack it. Then you see that edge, when you're done sewing the round cup side, you're just going to push this sewing allowance inside the lining side, like so, and sew. It's just like when you're top stitching actually, and sew. So what this will do, and sew it to the edge. So what this will do is when you turn it over, that place is going to stay inside. It's not going to be poking out, because if it does not slip like that, it's going to affect I don't know how to put it, just like when you top stitch, that's what you get. So now I've done that. Now we're going to take it, when you're done sewing to the edge, then you now sew down towards the sewing allowance part of it that you're going to join to the back bodies, okay, which I have done. And this is what we have. You see the middle point, like I was saying, wasn't sitting well. That's because of that fabric that cut out and whatnot. So it's now looking like I was managing that place, so I didn't, you know. So this is what we have, and it came out nice. Actually, I wouldn't lie. I won't lie, but I will try another method for it. Another sewing method. There are different sewing methods in coupling your garments. Okay, so this is me trying to notch that part so that it will slip, it will stay well. And here I am done stretching and squeezing. Oh my god. So this is what I have, and I'm really loving it. Just tell me you didn't, when you saw the video clip, didn't you like it? It was nice actually. So you just have to hold here down, okay? You just top stitch it so that it doesn't move, because you're going to add it to the down part of the body, so you need it firm. So I've done my measurements. You take out your measurement from, you first of all seal your zipper allowance on a loose stitch, then you take out your measurement and you sew down. people have different way of sewing. You might meet some tutors that have a different method of stitching. Everybody have different method of stitching. So you sew down and we'll come back to put the down part of the dress. So this is it, me after sewing. Like I said, when I made this video, there was no light. I just had to make the video. There was no light. And that's not an excuse. I've not been posting for a while now, so I just needed to do something for those that are my followers, and we're still growing our accounts. So now you slit open like so, and you notch the middle point of your center front. And by this time your down part must have been ready. You do a gathers. If you don't know how to do a gathers, I'm so sorry I didn't show you that part, because I think it's easy. There are two ways you can do a gathers. You can sew a loose stitch and draw, or you use your needle to run a stitch, or if you use a zigzag machine, you can get a long rope, a long thread, and put in the middle and use a zigzag to sew it. Then you just drag the thread and it will give you a perfect gathers. Okay, so now before I started the gathers, I did my middle point. I notched my middle point, so that's what I'm placing, middle point of the gathers parts and the middle point of the upper part. So I'm just going to place like so to the end, and we're going to sew around. So here we're going to take it to the machine, and we're done. So the lining, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the lining like so, and you hem the down part of your lining if the English mouth is not. This MBG lining, like a pure cotton liner, that's what I used. For the upper part, I used the one we call aba lining. If you're in Nigeria, there's a lining we call aba lining. Okay, so that's the light one. So I'm just going to sew it from the upper part, like the upper part of the dress, not the down part. I'm going to sew like so, do my pleats, just like if you know how to make children dress. Yeah, you know the way you do the lining for children dress after you are doing a ball gown. That's what I did here. So I'm just going to sew, and I'm turning it over to the other side when I'm done sewing. Okay, so this is it after I'm done sewing. You can see how it's looking neat, very demure, very cutesy, very mindful. Anyways, I am done, so I'm just going to this is the inner. So if you're doing a children's dress, this is how actually you seal it. Okay, so I just top stitch the other side downward like so. Now I'm going to leave 0.7. My zip is going to stop at from the waistline to that place 0.7, and I'm going to sew down. But while you're sewing, move out your hand a little. And if you've watched to this point, you've not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Kindly do so. Hit the like button, subscribe, like, and share. We upload video as much as we can. See you in my next one. Bye.